All right. And we are live. Good morning, Michael Knight, there in beautiful Pasadena, California. How are you?
We send our salutations from sunny, hot California. It's going to be 87 today. And we say good morning to you, Vinnie, in Seattle, Washington, with
Where
the
it's
home of the
raining.
new where the New York Jets fan club was founded in Seattle, Washington, not long ago, and where they stand
Uh,
in solidarity with the Jets, the JETS Jets, when they beat the Eagles, the undefeated Eagles of Philadelphia.
who are no longer undefeated. And
Well, the same thing happened to the 49ers. But as I was saying to you just moments ago, the 49ers realized they were going to lose when they could not run, pass, or, in the final analysis, even kick. And that puts limitations on your ability to score.
it certainly puts a cramp in it. Certainly puts a cramp in it. And the Jets, yeah, the Jets redeemed the Pro Football Weekend. Although, here is interesting. I don't know how many people really, after the victory on Saturday with the Huskies in what may turn out to be one of the best games ever in the Husky program. Certainly,
Wasn't that a crazy game?
yeah, yeah. I mean, just an incredible game. A game where DeBoer, the coach of the Huskies, really showed, he knows how to run a game. I mean, he's shown it already, but I just think that he is, if there ever was a college football program that needed a guy like him, it was the Huskies. Uh, Totally in danger of becoming an afterthought, except among their loyal fans. And now they're in the conversation for the national championship.
That's what happens when you win games, exciting games, against evenly matched opponents in your own conference on national television, and you do it dramatically.
Yeah, and the scene here was just unbelievable. I mean, that scene at Husky Stadium on Saturday was, one of the announcers on the game. I forget what announcer, reporter, or one of the talking people, one of the people who were talking. Maybe it was Herb Street, who was doing color for the game. Kirk Herbstreit of ESPN. Um, he said, "You don't see this on Sunday."
Yeah.
And he was I mean, it was a great point. Is that you don't see what happened at Husky Stadium in the NFL, and which, after I thought about it for a while, even got me more upset or more PO'd, because it really it really drives home the ruination of college football by the people that think they know about it, the people that are in it for nothing but money. You can take those. You will still have those kinds of celebrations, but you won't have them. I don't know. It's just, it seems corrupt. But I
Yeah,
didn't think about that on Saturday. Really, I thought about it more on Sunday. I just thought of the beauty of what I was watching at Husky Stadium, and how. Listen, over the years, I've not been a big Husky fan, Michael, but uh, you see something like that, and you see the unbridled joy of people who got a memory that they'll remember forever.
one of the aspects of that victory, however, Vinny, was that the portal provided players to the Huskies that figured dramatically in their season. Penix, one of them, and so the portal giveth and the portal taketh away. You have to have a program that attracts players, and if you do have a program that attracts players, you can bring in a quarterback like that and remake your whole offense around him.
Yeah, and which is a great point, Michael, because how many people saw that game or will see, stream a copy of that game, who are considering going to a college or being recruited, and saw that scene on Saturday that rivals anything you've seen from Alabama or name any SEC school you want. It just really, it something like that is the best recruiting tool you can have.
Especially Well, for a number of teams, if you were deciding between Notre Dame and USC, you have a decision to make. If you were deciding between Washington or Oregon State, you have a serious decision to make because both these teams are on the ascendancy. And the portal is great if you make the right decision. If you don't, then you've jumped and wasted a year, and you may have to jump again. Some players do. But the fact that the majesty of college football is not also in part a result of the ability for players to find a home where they're, you know what it's like to show up at a college sport and they're running the triple option and you're a passing quarterback.
Right, right.
What am I doing here? You know, this is how we play football at Nevermind State.
Well, it gave the it gives the kids. I always call them kids. You know, they're men. They're young men. It gives the young men that play the sport somewhat of an equal footing to the coaches, not monetarily, but at least with the freedom. You know, it used to be, obviously people know this, that it used to be that a player, if he wanted to transfer, would have to sit out a year. A coach could leave, goodbye, and go to his next school and start coaching the next day. And although they haven't changed that aspect of it with the coaches, they changed it with the players. They put the players on somewhat of an equal footing
Yeah.
to the coaches in that they have some leverage now. They have an ability to, if you don't like it, go and play at another place next year. Some people don't like it. Some people say it ruins school loyalty and this and that. But you know what? To be honest, these guys aren't going to school for loyalty.
Or
They're going to
tradition.
school because they want to play on Sunday.
Right. That's
Most
right.
of them, not all of them. I mean, obviously, there's some that are going to school for school loyalty and all of that kind of stuff. But it's a training ground for the NFL. It's the NFL minor leagues, and why should they have the opportunity to do the same thing that a coach does? They're providing the labor for the endeavor. They should have a right to give their labor to whoever they think is the right person to give it to, right?
And the injuries that you can sustain. Look at the list of injuries that Penix had that kept him from being the starting quarterback in his previous programs. Serious 2 ACLs, a shoulder, a hamstring, serious injuries that could ruin the career of a quarterback. And there he was performing at top.
He's a fighter, man. You have to hand it to him. He's the kid showed me a lot on Saturday with his tenacity, his ability to operate calmly and coolly in a crazy situation. I mean, that's part of it, and he seems to be mature beyond his years.
He's convinced that he can do it.
Right,
Absolutely
right.
convinced.
There's no doubt in this guy's mind, and whether he wants to use God or whatever as the reason that he does it, and he's he firmly believes that God is guiding him, and if that's what he needs to believe to accomplish what he's accomplishing, God bless him. I mean, who am I to say that's not what's happening? He knows
Well,
that I don't.
God invented pool and billiards to
Well,
tempt Christians.
right, but I also, listen, these guys need some kind. The only thing that I always get upset with, not upset, but it just I scratch my head. I go, is when they lose a game and they get their ass kicked. They never say God kicked my ass today. God wanted the Ducks to win.
God let me down.
God let me down today. No, 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 no. So but all that aside, this young man who is you think you hope will be playing on Sunday somewhere, just showed a lot. I think that if you're a Husky fan, Saturday was your day.
Well, before you send him to the NFL. Just ask the current quarterback for the Jets how much fun it is to go from BYU to New York and play for a team that was supposed to have another quarterback, but he's not there. And so the job has fallen to him. And it's not an easy job. It's not an easy job. And it's fun to win against the Eagles. But the Jets have already lost a couple of games this year where fun was not a factor. And that's how
Well,
quickly things turn. So count your blessings, college quarterbacks. If you're hoping to get to the NFL, I hope you get there, but watch out for what you receive when you do get there. Gardner Minshew the second, beloved quarterback from Wazoo, was playing for the Colts yesterday. He got intercepted 3 times, had a horrendous day, lost the game, was the center of attention for why the game was lost. It doesn't take long for the other side of the coin to show itself in NFL football, and your college experience got you there, but the NFL has a way of welcoming players that is not always comfortable for them. And I know Gardner Minshew is having trouble getting out of bed today. But the fact is, that's what awaits a professional quarterback. Brock Purdy found out yesterday what it's like when you have a bad day, and the other team, the Cleveland Browns, have a great day. And the Jets showed the same thing to the Eagles.
well,
This is what it's like when you have a bad day.
well, listen, New York loves a superstar. New York was, I think, excited that they were going to have a quarterback on the Jets that was going to, have headlines and be somebody who people could point to, whether they liked him or didn't like him, who knew how to win. I mean, Aaron Rodgers knew how to win, and the one thing that's helping Zach Wilson in this situation is that Aaron Rodgers knows how to win, and he's obviously taken this young man and put him under his wing a little bit and said, okay, son, here's how we're going to do this. Here's how I could do it. Here's what I can show you. Because in yesterday's game, even the commentators were saying that, there were some moves that he pulled that were classic Aaron Rodgers moves.
And Aaron Rodgers knows what it's like to be ignored by the starting quarterback. Brett Favre wouldn't talk to him, wouldn't help him,
Right.
wouldn't assist him in any way, which is
Right.
pretty hard to believe. It's pretty
Right.
hard to believe, but there it is.
Well, and he could have taken that route, but he decided, and you got to give him. Listen, I'm no big Aaron Rodgers fan, but you got to give him some credit. He wants his team to win,
Right?
and if you can't accomplish that by being on the field, the next best thing you can do if you're that caliber of a quarterback is to coach, be a de facto coach for the quarterback you have. Nobody had faith in Zach Wilson. I mean, nobody. And let's face it, in that first game that he took over, the first game of the season after Rodgers got hurt, he looked like a deer in the headlights. He looked like he was stunned. And he probably was.
I'm sure he was.
But you know what? Every week he got a little bit better. Every week and New York loves a superstar. They thrive on a superstar, but there's one thing that New York loves better than a superstar, and that's a great comeback story.
Yeah.
That story of the guy who nobody had faith in, and he ran out there and led his team to victory, led his team to a title, showed that thing that you have to show to lead people down the field.
Now, the commentators on ESPN and the guys who review the outcomes of games on Monday morning were saying, get rid of him now. It's never going to get any better. Trade or acquire a veteran quarterback to finish out the year. You haven't got a prayer with this. You won't win a game. It's going to get worse, not better.
Right.
And they were wrong.
Well, yeah. And listen, the Jets did that. They just, I have to think that at some point Aaron Rodgers may have gone to them and said, "Listen, let me work with this guy. I'm going to be here. I'm going to mentor him," which is probably the best thing in the world that an offensive coordinator could hear.
because the offensive coordinator was unable to mentor him or
Right.
coach him
Right.
convincingly.
So you have that, and again, it's that thing where you have a young man who's willing to listen, and a young man that's willing, or an older man, I should say, that's willing to teach. That's not just going to say, "I'm hurt, I'm out of here," or "I'm not going to talk to this guy because he could take my job." When you bring an Aaron Rodgers in, you don't have to worry about somebody taking your job because you're either going to play and they're going to keep you around for the next year, or you're going to, you'll go somewhere else if you want how about
Exactly.
Tom Brady?
Right.
Boy, doesn't Belichick look good losing?
He's
He's not a good loser.
he's well, if you're a coach that's a good loser, you got the wrong job.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's a way to lose with I don't know, a little bit of dignity, but throwing your hat around. I mean, I don't know. I just I like Bill Belichick in certain ways, and in other ways, I think there's a lot of ego going on there. But maybe it's not. Maybe he's just one of those people who just don't like the spotlight. He wants to stay out of it as much as he can. He'd do his yearly thing with Letterman that he'd go on, but the New England Patriots are a mess.
They can't win for losing.
I mean, I don't care how good of a coach you are if you ain't got the players.
But
And
he's the general manager. If he doesn't have the
well,
players, whose fault is that?
well, it's his fault. Yeah, I mean, I don't, if you don't have the horses, it's hard to win the race unless all the other horses fall down. And he's in a division where the horses are not going to fall down.
It's
But
funny
it
how
was
that's
it, it was
it's
good to
remarkable how
see the
that's
Eagles get beat. I'm
turned
sorry.
around. It's remarkable how all the all the fortune that he's enjoyed has turned around on him totally and completely. He's everything he draws is a joker.
Well, listen, a ride like he was on can only last for a certain amount of time, right? It doesn't last forever.
It just doesn't.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't. Sometimes it lasts 1 year, like in the case of the Jets. Sometimes it lasts maybe 10 years in the case of Bill Walsh and then George Seifert. Um, Sometimes it lasts a while in the case of Pete Carroll. It lasts for 10, 12 years. But eventually it's going to come to an end. Eventually you're not going to have the horses to race. Eventually, things are going to go wrong. I mean, it's got to happen. There's no
Yeah.
way around it. It's just how we would be in that period for the Seahawks had it not been for the coach saying, "I have this guy that used to be a great quarterback, but I'm not so sure about him now, and I have another team that still thinks he's a great quarterback. Let's see what I can go through their pockets for."
Well, the trade was great in terms of what they got
Yeah,
because
I mean, it
because
rebuilt their team.
the the
The
Denver
Seahawks we're
team
talking about.
the Denver team that they made that deal with, however, has looked like hell on wheels since then. It's it's like a black hole of football. They cannot perform. They cannot execute, and they don't show any promise.
Yeah, Russell Wilson looks like he's done.
Yeah,
Looks like he's done. Looks like he's come up. He's just gone gone past his serviceable time.
his
I mean,
his due date is in the
his
past.
due date is right there. Now maybe he'll go somewhere else eventually and get another good year somewhere. He was thrust into, and here's the bad thing about Russell Wilson is, guys like that, they usually come back to the city they had most of their success, and maybe they settle down, maybe they, become a pillar of the community. They go to this, that. Russell Wilson is not loved in this town. Russell Wilson has gone from Super Bowl hero quarterback to screw him.
To oddball eccentric.
Yeah, to what the hell? And you know that Seattle takes it personally when people leave. No matter how they go, they take it personally. And that's the old guard. Now, I don't know, maybe the younger people, maybe they take it differently. Maybe they don't care. Maybe the generation that lives in the condos downtown, maybe they don't think about it as much. But the people that live in Ballard, and the people that live in Edmonds, and the people that live in a lot of other places, that aren't in that downtown tech triangle, take it personally.
Hi, I'm Russell Wilson. Come to Midas Muffer. We take your keys and we won't give them back until you get new tires and a undercoating.
Oh, that's the Mikie commercial. Isn't that the one where it says, "I give them Mikie"?
Don't give them your key.
So that was that was the weekend, man. Really, I mean, there was some baseball this weekend, and I have to be honest with you. When I turned on the Houston
Texas game,
Texas Rangers game, first of all, it was an all Texas game, so that made me queasy to begin with. And then I saw in one dugout was Max Scherzer, and on the mound was Justin Verlander. And as a tried and true Mets fan,
they looked familiar.
That's all you needed to see. Let me go watch something on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'll wait till tomorrow till somebody else is pitching.
I found myself following the game. I was rooting for Bruce Bochy, but if the only way I can get Houston to lose is to root for Texas, I'm not long for these playoffs.
Yeah, it must hurt that you have two giant managers going against each other. That's got to be a little bit of a thing too, as well.
And the Giants are just hoping that the Dodgers fire Davey Roberts so they can just get someone who knows how to play this game.
Do another, yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, they're interviewing people for the job, but I don't know, for a good franchise, for a quality franchise, it seems that nobody is knocking down their door.
Well,
to become the manager of that team. Nobody that's
they've gone 3 years with cast-offs and people they've claimed off the wire, no major trades, no major acquisitions, and I don't know what the Giants have planned. Shohei Ohtani is now looking like he probably won't go to the Dodgers because the Dodgers have this postseason curse that they can't seem to shake. So,
and the Yankees are going to lay a whole. I mean, even though he says he doesn't want to go to the East Coast, the Yankees are going to lay a whole bunch of money at his feet as well. As will the Mets, and I think the Mariners. I think the Mariners are going to pony up a fair amount of money to try to influence him. Maybe when he comes up here and sees what the weather's like, he may change his mind. But I think the Mariners are going to make a run at him. Now, whether that's just a PR move or not, I don't know. But somebody's going to have to, people here, baseball fans here, want to see them at least make an honest run at him. And
we see the Giants made an honest run at the quarterback that ended up not being traded, went to the Mets, didn't pass his physical there. Can't remember his name right now. But the fact is that was our big effort, we being the Giants. That was our offseason effort. A joke that we were pursuing somebody that we hadn't done enough due diligence on to know that he was injured, never going to get better. We were going to pay him hundreds of millions of dollars.
All right, I got a question for you
Yeah,
as a long time. You've been a Giants fan for more than a couple of years.
since 1957 when they came to
You
the
have
coast,
been you've been a baseball fan for more than a couple of years
right from the cradle.
from the get go. So let me ask you this question, Michael. Over the weekend, it became known that the San Francisco Giants interviewed Alyssa Knockin for their managerial post. This is coming
She's
from the Athletic.
she's well liked by the team.
Right.
She's
Well,
already
well,
a
like
coach.
now, this is nothing against her abilities, but it's kind of the same question we used to ask about gay ball players, right? You want to light up the phones for an hour, just say, "Will a gay guy ever make it in the major leagues?" And you got phone calls for the rest of the day. Um, but let me ask you this: what about a woman as a manager of a major league baseball team? Now you know the culture in the clubhouse. You know it's a boys' club. Um, let's say the Giants came out tomorrow and said, "You know what? She knows this. She knows this. She knows this. We think she's the best person for the job."
Well, they may, in fact, think that she is the best person for the job, but she's in the interview and she has to ask them if they, the executives of the Giants, are the best men for their jobs. Because in the past 3 years, they've proven that they are not. They have proven that they don't have vision, they don't have acquisitional power, they're not willing to spend the money, they're not interested in beating the Dodgers, they don't have the tools to advance from their position. And whose fault is that? Not Alyssa Knockin, not Kai Correa, not Gabe Kapler. It was none of their faults that the Giants didn't have a team. The Giants didn't have a team because they didn't go out and get one.
Right.
They didn't bring up the right guys. They didn't acquire the ones that they needed. They didn't have the pitching they had needed to go after the Dodgers. And then there's the worst part of the accusations that a Giants fan makes, and that is the comments of Zaid Fari, the general manager, who said, "We were a game and a half out of first place, and instead of playing our best baseball, we played our worst." And if she or any other manager that they're currently interviewing able to put the stop to the skids that the Giants were on, or avoid that skid somehow, avoid the June swoon? If so, she can manage the team, but not the team that she just finished coaching,
Right.
because
But
that's not a winning team, and you can't ask her to be a winning manager with the same team that they just limped off the field with.
right. That's not the question really. The question is,
Can
will
she do it?
will she get the respect of the players? We all know that for somebody to manage a major league baseball team or any baseball team really, they have to have the respect of the players. They have to have there's a certain culture that goes on in baseball teams.
Because there's no crying in baseball.
Right. Uh, so you have to, I mean, even the women's professional baseball leagues have used men as managers
That's
for,
true.
I don't know what reason, but that's the reason. Um,
But not basketball. Women's basketball has always used women, not always, but often.
but yeah, many times used women. So my question is going to be, if the Giants came out tomorrow and said, "We think Alyssa is the woman for the job. We think she is, of all the people we have spoken to, she seems the brightest. She seems to be. She knows the game. She has all of the things that you need to be a manager. That would, if she were a male, have her hired like that." Now I don't know that that's true, but let's just say for a second, let's play the game. Would she be successful, or not just she, but any woman on any team, if you took a woman and stuck her in as the manager of, I don't know, the Dodgers, let's say, very successful team, right? The Astros, very successful team. Would she gain the respect? Would she be able to have the respect and the backing of her players, which any manager I think needs? Have we come that far?
Almost, not quite. I think her experience, not as a coach but as a player, will probably work against her in the players' minds. Also, then there's the problem about managing personalities, and that's not easy even for wasn't easy for Casey Stengel.
Yeah,
He,
it
he
is
had
not for
his
anybody.
he had his own problems, as every manager does.
Wasn't easy for Lou Piniella. Wasn't easy for some of the best. Davey Johnson. Look at what he was managing with the Mets in the '80s. I mean, he had to fill out a lineup card between and ask the drug dealers if it was okay if these guys played today, or did you give them too much?
Is he ready? Well, he was an hour ago, not now.
Not now. You got to move those game time starts.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a great question.
I would think she probably has all the skills. She doesn't have the reputation. She doesn't have the history, and I would think that because the Giants are coming off a disappointing year where a lot of people lost their job as a result of this, and I'm the list of those who are not going to be playing for San Francisco, it will grow.
Yeah.
Will grow from the current guys on the team. And it's not that they aren't players. It's not that they didn't have parts of a good year. But when challenged to win at the most important time of the year, they failed across the board with pitching, with hitting, with timely hitting, with speed, with power, with any element that you can name, including a weakened bullpen. By the way, Bruce Bochy's bullpen is one of the worst in baseball. And he managed to get them where they are because of starting pitching going longer into the game. So he was managing his starting pitchers in a way that other teams were not. You know how they start a bullpen pitcher? He
Yeah.
goes 2 or 3 innings and does his job. Then they bring somebody else in. Bochy didn't have that luxury. He had to use his starting pitching, hoping they would last longer, and then hoping that he didn't have to rely on the bullpen due to the score. And it's a weakness in the Texas team that has not cost them yet because they're hitting and
Their hitting covers it for the most part. Yeah.
Their stability as a powerful team keeps them in games.
Their defense and their hitting is par excellence. I mean, they're
But that's
strong.
unusual, Vinny. You can't think of many teams that have a known weakened bullpen who are playing for the World Series.
Yeah. Well, again, it's the thing here in Seattle when you look at this Texas series. I believe that each of the closers on those teams, key bullpen people, are people who were the closer here the last 2 successive years. Graveman and was it Seawald? I guess I forget who the other one is off the top of my head, but those are the two. You know, that seems to be who we traded at the trading deadline to get other pieces, and it's they're in the playoffs, and the Mariners are home sitting. But the Mariners'
Look,
problems run deeper than that. The Mariners' problems run.
explain to me, as a Giants fan, why Bruce Bochy retired, then said, "I'm not retired. I'm ready to go. I'm going to go to the American League and manage the Texas Rangers. I'm going to go back into baseball." He was in baseball. He had a good job. He was beloved. He was a good leader.
Yeah.
He didn't have the team he needed, and so he just said, "You know what? I'm going to retire. They're going to pay me anyway. And I'm going to think about what team I can take advantage of who needs a good leader and take them to the World Series." And that's precisely what he did. Now, the Giants needed a manager to get them to the World Series, and they had one, but they couldn't keep him. They couldn't keep him interested. And the reason being, they didn't have the team to go to the World Series. They had the manager to go, and he went. He went to San Diego, hung out on the beach, and then got himself a better job next time.
Well, I don't know why he decided to accept that challenge or comeback. I don't know. They must have thrown a lot of money at him, but I don't know that it is money. I think it's something else. It's
Not for guys who have the sawdust in their blood.
yeah. Why? The only thing I can think about and analogize it to is why did I go to Pittsburgh? I went to Pittsburgh because, well,
Play
I needed
ball.
a job,
Yeah,
but
play ball.
also it was the opportunity to put something new, something to build something,
Yes.
to put something new on the air, to be a part of putting something on the air that hadn't been there before.
I had an opportunity like that once. I know how you have to take it.
Yeah, and even though you're saying to yourself, "Man, I got to uproot this, I got to do this, I got to do that," and certainly in Boshi's case, it's a lot easier because they're paying you probably $65,000 a week for your hotel and to leave your house and everything like that. But it's the point of when there's an old line. There's a line from a movie that's kind of a movie that not a lot of people have ever seen called The Idolmaker, and it's loosely based on the the guy who was in Philadelphia and made Frankie Avalon and Bobby Rydell, Bob Marcucci, who was the guy who created those
Fabian,
teen idols, Fabian, right?
Tommy Sands.
Yeah, Tommy Sands, all of those early '60s, late '50s, early '60s teen idols. He had his fingers in most of them. And there's a scene in the movie where uh, the uh, the guy who's playing Marcucci, it's not Mark, it's he advised on the movie, but he goes into a restaurant and he's sitting with his father and he's got this love-hate relationship with his father. And he has his first success. He has this one guy and he's out there and he's selling records and he's got a nice shark skin suit on and everything. And he sits down at the table with his father and he needs money and the father's a mobbed up guy, works down the fish market, yada, yada. And so he says, the young man says to the father, "Look at me, I'm a success. And it's hard for you to take, I'm a success." And the father leans into him and he says, "No, you're not a success. You do it once. That's luck. You do it twice, 3 times, 4 times. That's success. That's when you've done it. When you can repeat your success
Right.
over and over again. That's when you are successful." And it's something that's always stuck with me. It's great to be successful, but you have to be able to do it several times in your life to actually be successful. And again, I guess it goes on how you measure success. And I think maybe in Boshi's case, that kind of mentality may have come into him.
Well, he did it 3 times in San Francisco. He's on his way to doing it for the first time with Texas. Who's to say if he's going to get there? Maybe that weekend bullpen will come to bite him on the ass. But right now, his team looks poised, and so does he. They look like they're ready to go.
Yeah, they look
Where
like
with Dusty Baker, it was always is Dusty paying attention? Is he worried? What's going on in Dusty's mind? You can't tell by looking at him. He plays it pretty close to the chest emotionally.
So.
And how would you like to see Tyra Niken argue at home plate with Dusty Baker, with the umpires separating them?
See that again? That is. Those are the questions that come into my head about this. Not if see, it's not about being qualified.
No.
It's not about being smart enough to do it. It's not about strategy. It's not about managerial style. It's about knowing what the major league clubhouse is like, knowing what the game is like, knowing what that it's probably the last bastion of um, hormonality. I mean, it's just testosterone. I should say testosteronality. It's testosterone running all over the place. And your testosterone has to match up their testosterone or else.
Yeah.
Would a woman be able to be authoritative, have the last word, not get plotted again? All the kind of things that happen in a clubhouse when you're a tough guy.
Well,
It's a whole different. It's a whole different thing.
I was thinking of Golda Meir when you were talking about that, because she was seemingly out of her depth. Her age, her history, her background, her demeanor. She wasn't a fiery person. And she had leadership challenges that resulted in all-out war.
Right. She was a bubbler.
She came through. She was somebody's nanny, right?
She was the bubbler. How does a bubbler run a country and run a war?
I think in that case, her seeming lack of qualifications worked in her favor, gave her a outsider's chance and an outsider's advantage.
Yeah.
That's not that was good for the war. It was good for Israel, but over 162 games, baseball presents other challenges besides just the one that you overcome.
It's the great equalizer, isn't it? The schedule.
It's long.
It irons out the successes and the failures into one line that stretches over 162 games, and that's why teams that are, what am I trying to say? Stay close to that line can still be successful in the postseason because you peak at the right time. You don't have the right injuries at the right time. You have a team that gels. Teams are not the same in the last game of the season as they are in the first game of the season. It's a living thing. It always changes. And you have to be able to deal with that and last that length of living together with the baseball roadshow for 162 games plus spring training, another 30 days, 40 days.
And it's such a long season that the kid you bring up at second base who comes to town and gets 3 hits in his first game and looks like he's a wizard, by August he's hitting .219 and can't find his bat or his hat.
And you're sending him, and you're thinking, well, should I send him back down? Is it going to injure his ego? Is it going to, is it going to hurt this guy permanently, or is it going to teach him a lesson? What should I do?
Giants had that decision to make with Willie Mays. He showed up from the minors and couldn't get a hit, and didn't get a hit, and wouldn't get a hit. And Leo DeRocher took him aside and said, "Center field is your job. You're a great player. We know that you're going to make it with the Giants. Go on out there and would you please win a game today?" And it was, now I'm not saying that talk made the difference, but given the opportunity that you just discussed, what do you do with a kid that it suddenly goes cold? In the case of Willie Mays, they said, "You've got the job. Now play like it."
Yeah, unfortunately, you don't have that luxury today.
Well, you don't get very many guys named Willie Mays. You just don't get them.
You don't have. It's such a different. In those days, the writers would gather around in Leo's office, and Leo would look up at him and say, "Lay off for the kid."
Yeah.
Let him give me a chance here. Let him blossom for a month, and then you'll want to start writing stuff about him. Write it, but these days, every swing, every at bat, everything, the way you walk up to the plate, your freaking walk up music
Yeah.
is analyzed and ripped apart by either highly paid former player analysts or the play-by-play guy or a newspaper columnist or or right down to to some little kid who's coming to a game for the first time.
And guys like Stephen A. Smith have to decide at 4 o'clock in the morning, am I going to come down on the Jets side today and say nasty things about the Eagles? Because I've been doing it the other way around all season. But I think I'm going to have to. I'm pro Jets. I'm anti Eagles. This is what happened. Jalen Hurts has shown his weakness. Zach has shown his abilities. Now I'm a Jets fan. Now Jets fans everywhere can raise their head proudly and say we can be a winning football team. Now that'll last until
I said so.
That'll last until Sunday.
Right. Yeah. It's amazing how much. See, that's the other thing that I wonder about hiring a woman as a manager. Thank God Jackie Robinson didn't have to break into the major leagues in 2020 because it'd be a zoo.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a zoo then when when all you had was newspapers and radio and a very infantile television. But
And the players that hated Jackie Robinson from the start
right,
didn't pay a price in terms of public dismissal of their views.
yeah.
The
And what they said. I mean, Bobby Bragan of the Braves was probably one of the worst ones, and the fans.
and the
I
fans.
mean, the fans had no problem leaning over the rail and giving it to him. So, if at least it was 1947, and media didn't have newspapers held the power.
The power of public opinion.
The power of public opinion. Now the power of public opinion is on YouTube. And if you want to get hits on YouTube, you have to make up a headline to put on your YouTube thing that may have nothing to do with what you are saying, but will get people to click on it because that's how you make money. That's how you get people.
Oh, you monetize your opinion.
Right. Right. For those who want to and are trying to monetize their opinion, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I think we're in an age where that has hurt us as a society so much. We can go into that on another day. Hey, I wanted to give you an update because I've been following this story over the weekend, and in a sea of just horrific news that we've been living in here over the last week at least, and then even more. Mary Lou Retton
How's she
is
doing?
getting better.
Excellent.
Is getting better. Mary Lou Retton, our sweetheart, our America's sweetheart, one of our friends of the show, longtime friends of the show, has been sick. She has a rare type of pneumonia. She's in a hospital in Houston on breathing machines, and I know what that's like. And her daughters have reported that she's getting better.
That's great.
And there's no better news that I've heard this morning, or heard actually yesterday, that makes me feel better.
News is not very reassuring these days. Although I will say that the fact that Israel has not begun their ground offensive is good news. It's an upper. It is positive. It shows that the shuttle diplomacy that Blinken is doing is having an effect. And it also shows that Israel is listening instead of just acting blindly out of revenge.
The thought struck me, and I didn't get a chance to see all the Sunday shows.
Excuse me.
I didn't get a chance to see all the Sunday shows yesterday. I got them queued up in my DVR, and I'll watch them today. But one thought has come to my mind continuously over the last week, and many people will probably not like me, but if for saying this, but if you are somebody who is considering voting for Donald Trump for president in the upcoming 2024 election, imagine out a scenario in your mind where Donald Trump was president now instead of Joe Biden. And what that would we'd be 5 days into World War III. Without a doubt. Because the way and not just Donald Trump actually, but
all the idiots he has around him.
Right. If any, I mean, you talk about the guy that's in the right place at the right time. Joe Biden and his administration have probably done more to keep this from escalating into a third world war right now
than anyone on the planet. More than Jim Jordan, you think?
Yeah, probably more than Jim Jordan.
Probably,
yeah. It's actually good that they don't have a speaker and everything right now. In the fact that they're not all standing up screaming Joe. I mean, they are standing up, but nobody's really listening that much.
It's funny how they say we all hate Joe Biden, and what else do you hate? Well, we hate each other.
Because it's all built around hate.
Yep.
None of it's built around compromise or caring for each other. It's all built around hate.
And this lie they keep telling about security of the southern border.
I mean, I don't know, Michael. I just thought about this over the past week. This guy has made phone call. I mean, the president has sat down and made phone calls to the Americans whose family members are being held hostage,
which is something that Netanyahu has yet to do.
Right, and has empathized with them and has stood there with them. I mean, if nothing else, this guy, if you want to talk about somebody who gets the common person, it's Biden. He gets it. He knows what a phone call, just listening to people talk, just letting them vent, letting them go means to them. Him talking to the families probably isn't going to get the hostages back, if they even are going to get them back. Who knows? I have my doubts about that. But
well, you should have your doubts, but we are not privy to what's going on. To actually
you operate under the assumption that they're alive and you're going to get them back, and you got to do everything you can possibly do to get them back. Just again, amazing to me how deftly he has walked through this.
And Blinken's turning out to be an all-star.
Blinken's a stud. I mean, this guy is a quiet guy. He's almost got like a Christopher Walken kind of diction to his voice. But man,
and he can play the blues guitar and sing Black Cat Blues.
He, the United States is, I don't know if it's single-handedly, but it's the major player in keeping this thing from blowing up into.
Name two superpowers who haven't said a word.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's saying a word really. So, Yeah, I got a new a better. I mean, I always admired Biden. Uh, now, yeah, does his age, but in this case, his age is an asset.
Yes, because he's seen
His
it
age, his
before.
experience, the way he moves through these different factions and so on and so forth is an asset.
And they haven't said yes, but he's considering the invitation to go to Israel. Now, if the president goes to Israel, it can't be during a war. That's not exactly what we do. We don't fly the president of the United States into a war zone where you
Well, he
can't
went
control
to
the situation.
he went to Ukraine, didn't he?
He went to Poland, I
Yeah, I
think.
mean, he's gone into he's gone into I don't think twice, but once at least he's gone over to Ukraine. Remember they snuck him in on the train? I don't know how you sneak somebody in on a train.
You don't tell
Tell me how
Vladimir,
you
that's
sneak a
all.
train through a country. But they did.
The but the hesitation that we're seeing from Israel is great news. They
Yes.
are allowing other elements of negotiations to continue, which would not be available to them if they cross the border and head into Gaza.
Yeah, and Netanyahu, I'm sure, is facing a lot of grief at home about that. Netanyahu is
And
probably, because there's a lot of people in Israel that just want to go in and flatten it into a parking lot. There's a lot of people in the United States Congress, Lindsey Graham, among them, that say we should just go in and flatten it to a parking lot, kill everybody, and and put up a Christian love center there or something.
the problem with that is already the Arab states in the area are reluctant to identify and support Hamas or Hezbollah for that matter because of the way they conducted themselves in this attack, taking hostages, shooting innocent civilians, women and children, has taken the support that they may have had traditionally and silenced it. And Saudi Arabia is tough at the bargaining table with the United States because that's about all they've got. They can't support Hamas verbally, even if they wanted to, because of the mess that the hostages are in. They won't let anybody into Egypt. They said now twice that they were going to open the border. They still haven't done it.
And I
So
haven't
people,
seen if they've done it this morning either yet. There was talk that they were going to open the border sometime today,
they
but
didn't.
I don't know if that's you hear a million things out of there, and maybe one of them is true. Um, I don't know how they're going to get what they're going to do to get aid to these people to get the innocent people there. Um, my God, I mean, it's just horrific, and not that the war has come to the United States yet, but this story has bothered me all weekend as well. I don't know. Did you hear about this guy who had this Muslim family living in his house in Chicago, and earlier in the week said that they got to move because they're Muslims,
Hmm.
and they hadn't moved by Saturday, so he knocked on the door and stabbed the mother, and then stabbed a
A
6-year-old
6-year-old
kid.
over 20 times.
Right, and has told police, I guess, that he got agitated by listening to right wing talk radio.
Imagine that. It's so reliable. Who could get upset?
So he's been arrested and he's being held, and I'm only hoping that they sit him down in a wet chair that's plugged in somewhere. And I mean, I saw the
Eventually,
pictures of him. He just looks like a piece of shit. Excuse my language, but um,
and the
but
radio
that
agitated him.
Well, that's the that's what you're going to get now. And
Hate
I
talk
don't
is a
know.
reliable product. There's plenty of hate to go around.
Yeah. And it's only, I don't know, it's only, I thought that something like this would happen. I'm sure that this is not the only one that we're going to see, that we're going to see others, especially, um, yesterday in New York, there were people carrying Palestinian flags, driving cars, and stopped all the traffic on, I forget what expressway it was, to do donuts and keep everybody delayed while they were holding up the Palestinian flag. I got to tell you that never helps your cause.
No,
No matter how sympathetic people might feel for you,
not when you
um,
stop traffic.
stopping traffic and creating a havoc doesn't help you. It doesn't help in any way. So, but I guess thank God that they didn't. I don't know. It's just it's sad all around, and maybe this will spur uh, uh, somehow in a strange way spur people to work to negotiate this thing out a little bit more, but it's not going to happen right away. And again, I just go back to our president, who is pretty much with his administration keeping the lid on this powder keg.
You're right, man.
It's amazing.
And on that note, maybe we should just meet on a Wacky Wednesday.
Let's do that. Let's meet on Wednesday. Um, we'll
How's your
try to
Mustang, by
recover,
the
lick
way?
lick our wounds from the Seahawks and the 49ers and celebrate the Jets, because there's nothing better than knocking off a Philadelphia team.
Well, then I'm rooting for the Los Angeles Chargers to do the very same thing to the Dallas Cowboys tonight. It would do America's heart great to see America's team go down hard.
Man, that's another ugly situation. But that's the great thing about the NFL, is that the powerhouse teams eventually hit the skids sometimes.
Well, Jerry Jones has had this team for a while in his image, and now I'm afraid that it's an accurate picture of Jerry Jones.
Shriveled up
Oh,
old man.
older, uncertain, can't believe it's happening to him. He's got a coach that can't coach. He's got a quarterback that can't pass. He's got a team that can't win. And that's just where I want the Cowboys. They got to play the
And that
49ers again, by the way.
and that's not a recipe for success in Texas or the NFL.
Nope. That's
No,
America's
that's
team right now. That's
yeah, no.
America's
All
team
I
is
have in
the
America's team, I would say that Kansas City is more America's team. I mean, who the hell roots against the Chiefs?
fools.
Yeah, I mean, they got a great quarterback that's a likable guy, great
Just
story.
reinvented the position.
They got a coach that anybody who's ever sat down in a Promantes can appreciate. He looks like the guy sitting at the bar next to you,
I'm
coming
waiting
home
to
from
do
work
that,
at the
but,
plant.
but my only fear is that when I sit down at Primanti's, there's no way I'm going to finish that sandwich, but I'll try.
Yeah, but you try, and you get a little box to take it home in.
A
I
doggy
mean,
box.
yeah, you talk about America's team. I mean, to me, uh, for the America that lives today, the Kansas City Chiefs, um, to me, are much more America's team than the Dallas Cowboys. But we can always argue that. I'm sure Chief fans will be happy to hear that. But that to me is America's team. All right, let's get back here on Wednesday morning at the 10:10. Mikey, take care of
Vinny,
yourself.
I'm going to take care of myself.
Take care of yourself, pal.
Stay out of trouble, Vin.
Go to the beach. Take in some sun.
I would do that if I had that Mustang. You bet I'd be on my way to the beach right now, top down.
Oh man, that car is I'm telling you, man, that is a 4,000 pound antidepressant. You're getting that thing. It's too bad it's raining today, but just to drop that top and go riding through the leaves, to turning colors, makes
Beautiful.
you feel good again with all the stuff that's going on in life.
Maybe
It
Ford can
makes
pay their workers enough to make more of them.
Yeah, that's not getting prettier. That's getting uglier there.
And the
All
SAG-AFTRA
right.
actor strike is in its 5th month.
Yeah, at least Saturday Night Live got a waiver to do their show, and I saw that. We'll talk about that more on Wednesday. But Mikey, take care of yourself, and I will catch up with you on Wednesday morning if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise. Until then, pal,
Until then,
peace, peace, love. I gotta get a wide angle lens.
and that
Peace,
Manischewitz you keep talking about.
love, and Manischewitz.
What a wine. See you, Vin.
See you, Mikey, and thank you all for listening. We appreciate it.